Censorship has been a topic that we've talked extensively about on the channel as of late because it feels like the internet from all different types of angles is being hit. And it's being hit almost feels like in a coordinated effort in which we're seeing governments and organizations taking more control over the internet. It feels like things are really going to change in the years to come. Now, one of the big things that has been talked about, and I've talked about, is payment processors. And how really towards the end of last year, they started to talk about the brand risk of processing payments of adult games and stuff that they deem problematic. And we've seen how activist organizations, how Collective Shout recently have weaponized Visa and MasterCard to go after content that they deem problematic, even though that content is following laws and regulations and rules of platforms. They don't care about that. They have a narrative that they want to push forward, and these platforms or these payment processors are giving in. Now, one of the big things that I've talked about with these payment processors, it's not about Mommy Simulator blah 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 that got taken down by Steam. It's the fact that they're lying. They put out statements saying, oh, we're not doing anything. No, they are. Valve has confirmed in statements saying that these payment processors has directed these platforms to their rules and saying that we will pull payments from these platforms. And look, these companies, Valve, itch.io, they cannot operate without these payment processors. Maybe there's a future that changes, but right now they need them. So they have to listen to what Visa, MasterCard, PayPal say. And now the concern was that they were going to not just stop at adult titles, they're going to go after more problematic content. You know, activist organizations, Collective Shout have voiced their displeasure with games like Grand Theft Auto, Detroit Become Human over the years. We've actually already seen some horror titles being taken down because of these payment processor decisions. And even recently we've heard talk about Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row. This was something that was talked about here in this article from Insider Gaming. Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row at risk of being delisted in adult games debate, it's claimed. It's mentioned in an article penned by Gaming on Linux, a digital retro storefront has been targeted by payment processors looking to clamp down on adult games. As you are likely aware, there have been a number of adult title delistings across the industry. One of our payment processors made us aware that a fellow member of the industry was concerned about our content. And this website reportedly received an email from the Zoom platform team explaining that they had expected the delisting situation to expand further, like it already has. It was specifically said that games like GTA, Duke Nukem, and Saints Row were described as potentially at risk. That being said, the violence, behaviors, and destructive potential of franchises like GTA and Saints Row could be described as gratuitous and harmful to the wrong people like minors. So that's why a lot of us were very much concerned with where this situation was going. Now, at least in the United States, there's been a massive update in which President Trump has created action. An executive order is now contesting these payment processors' censorship, and specifically said that the executive order titled Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans addresses the ability of payment processors to punish individuals for constitutionally or statutorily protected beliefs, affiliations, or political views. Additionally, the bill calls for an end to clauses regarding reputation risk on the part of the payment processors. This is the big thing that we saw in Japan. It was the brand risk of them allowing payments for adult content that they just deem they don't agree with, pretty much. Payment processors like Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, and PayPal regularly claim that the objectionable speech represents a reputation risk and attempts to financially disenfranchise content creators. Now, though, it looks like this could disrupt this payment processor movement. Right now, though, it does remain unclear. It is worth mentioning we have seen other companies already in fear of Visa and MasterCard. They're trying to avoid it. Riot Games has been accused of blocking this Discord and chat, and I think that is really eye-opening of just how fearful all of these gaming companies, or just companies in general, are in fear of losing their ability to process payments through these means. Again, crypto or whatever other means, those maybe need to rise up in the future, but it has not happened. Now, this has been the situation that a lot of people have been talking about, but outside of the United States, there's a massive ordeal happening with the Online Safety Act and how ID verification is being pushed forward worldwide. And this is not being talked enough because that is also a situation that could be impacting a game like Grand Theft Auto 6. We're actually hearing from UK politicians that are specifically saying that they're being asked about this, and they're saying, well, Grand Theft Auto, the developer, Rockstar Games, they have to get on board with our new regulations, or they potentially face massive fines. This is what's happening. That's why I'm saying it's happening from all sorts of angles, this censorship movement. And we're actually already seeing Rockstar Games pushing forward with ID verification. This comes from a notable Rockstar insider and data miner, Tez2. He wrote, "Jokes aside, Rockstar is planning to implement age assurance checks in the near future, rolling them out by region. You may need to verify your age to access GTA Online, or certain features like phone messages, text chat, Snapmatic may be restricted until you verify your age." And, this could go much further. We don't know in terms of the content that's provided in Grand Theft Auto, because yes, there are strip clubs, there's gore, there's drug dealing, there's all kinds of stuff that could be deemed problematic. And again, it's not just the United Kingdom where this is going to be stopping, it's going to be worldwide. We'll get to a little bit more about that in terms of some of the legislation that's being pushed forward by both parties in the United States. But yeah, this is what Grand Theft Auto is preparing for. This is something that will bleed into Grand Theft Auto 6 Online. Maybe this is where the implementation really begins. And a lot of people don't know Rockstar Games, first and foremost, is a UK-based company. I think a lot of people miss that. But verify your age to access Grand Theft Auto Online. No access. Scan the QR code with your phone or visit blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is all age verification stuff. And there has been a further update on this that shows that Rockstar Games is actively working on this. Tez2 had an update saying a preview of age assurance in-game. And this is here. It says, verify your age. Please verify your age to access online features. So potentially, without having that ID provided, you may not even be able to access Grand Theft Auto 6 Online whenever it comes about, or even access any content within the game. It's no longer you just 18 to be able to play the game. It's these governments, these organizations are asserting their authority over parents. And I just find that honestly insane with the arguments and everything that we've seen over the years, especially with the video game industry or just entertainment in general. But yeah, it shows right here. This is something that will be actively implemented in the coming weeks and months. And here's another one. Yeah, error. An error occurred or happened while retrieving the QR code. Please retry. And this is, again, they are working on this. This will be implemented very soon. And the topic about Grand Theft Auto 6 censorship is something that is going widespread right now. GTA 6 could be banned in the UK over new age verification laws. That's why the whole payment processor situation was only one half of this, because the Online Safety Act and the other governments that are enacting similar legislation, that is the bigger fear, I think, right now. Now, again, this is an article coming from The Telegraph. It goes extensively talking to the UK politicians about Grand Theft Auto 6 and how it could be impacted. The blood-soaked British success story testing Labour's mettle. Labour is the party in the UK that has been pushing this. When it was first released in 1997, Grand Theft Auto GTA was met with moral panic. Sick, deluded, and beneath contempt fumed the Police Federation. The game was debated by the House of Lords and castigated by the Daily Mail, all of which helped deliver blockbuster sales. A lot of people don't remember that panic. It wasn't just Grand Theft Auto, it was games like Doom, Mortal Kombat, the gore, the blood, all of that stuff, even metal music around that time. Different age nowadays, but Grand Theft Auto obviously infamously ran into massive incidents in the 90s and the early 2000s with the hot coffee mod controversy that totally changed the gaming industry and adult content in general, especially in terms of what's provided in AAA games. Now, it's mentioned here in this Telegraph article, yet nearly every GTA release has been dogged by controversy, obviously. Despite the game's violent themes and 18+ rating, it has always been popular with younger teens. A 2023 Young YouGov poll found 70% of Britons had played GTA when they were under 18, with most first playing between the ages of 12 and 15. And I say what you will, I was 13, 14, I was playing Grand Theft Auto. And that was because my mother, my parents were fine with that. They would go out and buy the game. That was my parents' choice. They were okay with me playing that. And I think for most people under the age of 18, that has been the case. It's the parents' discretion, their choice. And these new regulations are robbing that choice from parents. And I just, again, ID verification doesn't do anything to stop young people from playing games. All it does is prepare us for a future in which we're going to have massive data leaks and hacks, in which all of our data is out there because these websites, these organizations, these governments can't can't control the safety of that type of data. It's happened so many times over the years, it's only going to continue into the future. And you're still going to have tons and tons of people under the age of 18 playing games. Now, the UK's Online Safety Act has prompted the advent of sweeping age checks across the web, and video game giants are not immune from our newly prudish era of internet censorship. Complicating matters is the fact that Rockstar benefits from hundreds of millions of pounds in tax breaks. A lot of AAA companies are like this. Rockstar, one of the most notorious. Any controversy around the game's content could prompt questions about the appropriateness of this arrangement. And it goes on to mention the violence and vice, drugs, prostitution, and sex have been recurring themes within past GTA games. A hugely popular online mode is likely to return, along with a constant stream of downloadable content with new vehicles and missions, and a lot more with GTA 6 Online. They're planning to make billions and billions of dollars, and they have to protect that. Now, it goes on to mention that still, that has not stopped a furious backlash from parents, groups, and campaigners in the past. The most recent game in the series was pulled from some retailers' shelves in Australia in 2014 over claims it included gratuitous sexual violence. And this is the organization that they're specifically talking about. Collective Shout. They were able to get Grand Theft Auto 5 removed from Target and Kmart shelves. This is a story that really didn't get talked about in 2014, but it's being talked about now because this Collective Shout organization weaponize these payment processors to go after these adult titles, and they were already targeting Grand Theft Auto 5 and Detroit Become Human back then. That's why everybody was saying they're probably preparing for another mission to go after Grand Theft Auto 6, and unfortunately for them, they have a bunch of means in which they can accomplish their goal. And unfortunately, yeah, they're being rewarded by government organizations like the Labour Party in the UK right now, and they are not alone. It's not like it is just a Labour-only issue. We're seeing in the US, Republicans, Democrats are already preparing similar legislation, and even in the EU as well. Now, it goes on to mention that another game developed by Rockstar called Manhunt 2 was briefly banned from sale in the UK over for encouraging visceral killing. In 2010, one of Rockstar's executives told the BBC that if a parent bought one of its games for their child, they would be a terrible parent. That's a stupid statement. I don't know which Rockstar executive or developer said that's just a stupid statement. I'm sure this was, again, trying to get the legislation and stuff off their back, but I don't think you're a terrible parent if you let your child play Grand Theft Auto games, especially older teens. Grand Theft Auto has faced plenty of controversy in the past, but Rockstar has always managed to ride it out. The latest game, however, must navigate newly toughened digital laws in Britain, namely the Online Safety Act. Now, Britain's new online safety regulations do not directly censor violent or adult publisher content. Games are handed age ratings under a system known as PEGI. Retailers that sell games to underage users could face fines of £5,000 or up to 6 months in prison under laws brought in 2012. But the Online Safety Act will influence how games are designed in the future. And that's something that really hasn't gotten talked about enough, and it's the fact that, publishers, developers are already very risk adverse in this current day and age, and they'll be even more so with the type of content that they're providing in the future, especially if age verification continues to be pushed forward. And say what you will, just because it right now is not directly censoring, there's been already many people saying that it very much so will target stuff like this. And it goes on to mention that the regime, the Labour Party, regulates multiplayer elements, user-to-user features, and regulator speak. This could include voice chats, forums, text messages, or user-generated content, one of the big things that probably will be pushed forward with Grand Theft Auto 6 Online. Online services that offer these features and are likely to be accessed by children will be required to stop underage users experiencing a plethora of harms, including that type of content and that type of speech, and serious violence. What does that mean? Serious violence. It's a broad term that can be interpreted in many different ways. Now, this article from Telegraph goes on to mention this specific quote coming from the Children's Commissioner of the UK, Rachel D'Souza, and she says, "The Online Safety Act means it is no longer acceptable for companies like Rockstar Games to sidestep their responsibilities simply because adult features occur in a game. A game made directly for adults." I don't like this. This is dangerous. This statement right here is dangerous, especially for freedom of expression, but I guess that's just not an ability in the UK anymore. She adds, "I want to see highly effective age assurances rolled out on gaming platforms in the same way as is now required for other sites." And Vicky Shotbolt, the chief executive of Parent Zone, adds there is a need for proper approach of age rating games supported with effective age restrictions. And this article mentions that a spokesperson for the Department for Science, Innovation, and Technology said rules around user-to-user online services applied to video games as well as social media. So it's not just like an online website. No, they're going after gaming as well. Now, asked about its approach to gaming in the upcoming GTA release, an Ofcom spokesman said, "Not all games are in scope of the Online Safety Act. Where they are supervision teams have ongoing discussions with the gaming industry to ensure compliance," which is what we're seeing with Rockstar games right now with these means. Like I said, the gaming industry is preparing for this new reality. We're already assessing how platforms are meeting their new child safety duties under the act. We won't hesitate to take action where we have concerns, which is, they're going to punish these companies with massive fines if they do not listen. And that is where we currently stand. In the UK, that authority is going to be spreading like a wildfire, and we're already seeing many individuals chiming into this current situation. We saw one of the biggest Twitch streamers, Asmongold, saying Internet Real ID is inevitable, especially for social media. Denying this might feel good, but it is a lie, and you know it. What isn't inevitable is private companies having access to our public records. The best solution is a government authentication token that only verifies information. Yeah, I'd like definitely for all my information not to be collected, but I find that there's many times that authentication tokens, or there's been instances where we've had organizations say we're not collecting data. I think there was a T app recently that said that, and guess what, they were collecting all of that data. So taking the word of these government organizations, it's never going to be something that's going to win anybody over. We're not going to comply, period, said this user. Zach responded, "You've already complied by providing your information to your ISP. If the government subpoenas your data, your ISP will give it to them. This is the same for every company because it's the law. For 99% of internet users, and anonymity is a mirage." And look, it's not just, gaming and such. Even YouTube, the website that you're watching this video on, they're already pushing forward their own age verification, and users are actually, it went live just the other day. We've changed some of your settings. We couldn't verify that you're an adult, and you have to verify your age now to engage in content. And I get it. Some people have said they're just going to boycott all these websites and stuff, but guess what? Every single website, every single game is soon going to have this. It's just the extent that this goes, that's what needs to be stopped. And that's why, especially in the US, this is something that I think a lot of people need to speak up against, because again, it's just, we're entering a very scary age of censorship and control that these governments are asserting on the populations. And look, in the UK, they've made it extremely obvious with how they've described this stuff. The Labour Party, I don't know anything about their other politics or anything that's going on in the UK, but I would hope and I would imagine they're going to be wiped out in the next elections to come because of a ruling like this and action like this. And this is one of the UK, the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation, and Technology, the one company that we just talked about who said that Grand Theft Auto gaming is going to be targeted soon. Peter Kyle says, "If you want to overturn the Online Safety Act, you are on the side of predators. It is simple as that." And he was responding to another UK politician. Again, I imagine this is the party that's probably going to blow up and probably take a lot of more support, especially in online circles. Nigel Farage saying Peter Kyle's comments are disgusting. He should do the right thing and apologize. And he did get a community noted Peter Kyle here saying, "Opposing the Online Safety Act isn't siding with predators, is defending free speech. The law enables censorship, mass surveillance, and vague harm rules that threaten privacy and dissent. Right groups worldwide have called it a danger to democracy." Very much so. And this Peter Kyle, fellow lawmaker and such in the UK, took it further. He appeared on the BBC saying this specifically to people
out there thinking of using VPNs. Let me just say to you directly, verifying your age keeps a child safe.
Oh God.
Keeps children safe in our...
It's always the think about the children aspect. They don't want to talk about the mass surveillance, the control, the fact that they're already using this act to go after other things that they disagree with. It's always think about the children.
So let's just not try and find a way around. Just prove your age, make the internet safer for children, make it a better experience for everyone. That's surely what we should aspire to in this country.
Yeah, Actman says, "I suppose we had our fun on the internet, now it's time for the dystopia." And like I said, this is not limited to just the UK. Even in the US, we've heard similar rhetoric. This is coming from Mary Miller. She's part of the GOP, the Republicans. "Children should never have access to that type of content online. This is something everyone should agree on, yet many sites refuse to enforce strong age verification. It's time to pass the Screen Act and protect our most innocent." And here we go again, a similar act, similar legislation compared to the Online Safety Act that's happening in the UK. And as this gaming account brings up, there's a couple of different bills that pretty much have the same thing. These are the same act by different lenses: the Screen Act, COSA, and Stop Hate Act. What they will all be used for is common purposes: thought policing, language policing, and the pretense will be, as often as it is, protecting children and all of that. Like I said, this is going worldwide, widespread, and this is a bipartisan thing. Chibi Reviews, another YouTuber content creator who has talked extensively about this, said 16 new co-sponsors have joined in for support of Kids Online Safety Act to be passed within the United States. COSA is a similar bill to the UK's Online Safety Act that came into effect 2 weeks ago. It is both left and right politicians wanting it to pass. And yeah, you got Republicans from Oklahoma, Democrat from, Michigan, Connecticut, North Carolina, bipartisan support, and these are just the new ones. As he points out, there is now 41 co-sponsors in the U.S. Senate. This is going to be pushed forward, and I have a fear that Zach of Asmongold, I think he is going to be right about this future. And we've already seen, websites and stuff going after the Online Safety Act, and they have been losing their challenges. So it remains to be seen if this is the reality that we face in the future, but very much so. Games like Grand Theft Auto 6 are under attack. The freedom of expression, freedom of speech online is under attack, and it's only getting worse. Anyway, what do you make about the Online Safety Act and the fact that the United States and other worldwide governments are planning similar legislation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll see you later.